What's up, good people? Welcome to the Bro Code Show. It's your boy, bro Troy, aka Mr. YM4C, but better known as Coach TJ. Now, tonight's show is brought to you by Drive Shack. Make sure you visit your local Drive Shack for the ultimate golf experience. And no matter the occasion, whether it's a date night, corporate event, or a night with the friends or family, you won't be disappointed. Now, for those who are new to the Bro Code Show, the Bro Code Show is a live talk show created to discuss, uncover, justify, and dismantle the issues that concern us most as brothers, as family, and as a community. And we like to give that to you raw, uncut, and real respectful. Now, our greatest desire is to embrace everybody in positive, popular conversation. So, no, we're not in the business of bashing or belittling anyone, but we do believe in being comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations because that's where understanding starts. So, as Grandma would say, let's chew the meat and spit out the bone. Real quick, we need your help. So please, man, get those thumbs to moving. If you already haven't done so, go to our Instagram at BroCodeShow right on the screen. Like, share, tell a neighbor, and then get all the updates for past great, courageous conversations as well as upcoming conversations. And help us build our YouTube page. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. So go to YM4C Space TV right now. Subscribe, like, share, hit that notification so when we have these conversations, you can be in the loop. Fellas, we're back at Sunday, man. Talk to me, man. So we always got Bro Smith working on the technical difficulties over here, man. Looks like you finally got it together, brother. What's going on with you, man? Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm good. Hopefully you can hear me. It sound okay, but I feel all right, man. Thursday was a bit brutal for me as a Giants fan. Still kind of going through the emotions of it all, but I still have hope, man. Still have optimism. So other than that, I'm all good, man. Life is good. Otherwise, life is good.
I can dig it, man. The emotions that this football thing brings out, man, is just amazing. It's like you're right there in the locker room. I get it, man. I really do, man. I do. Bro, Kirk, what's good, man? Talk to me.
Yo, what's good, bros? Yeah, the football thing is important. I see JC a little bit more into it than me and you, but my Cowboys, I think we're gonna do something this year. This week has been it's been eventful, man. I'm in the midst of moving, so I've been painting and all the things that come with moving. But it's been a productive week, so I'm excited for this conversation.
Good deal, man. Moving is a chore, brother. It's like another full-time job. I mean, and then you always find stuff like, dang, I didn't even know I had that. Right? I was looking for that, right? Every time you start moving stuff, it's like, man, I done bought 5 of them. Right. And it was in that box, right? Way back in the closet. Brings back memories too, man. So I can dig that, man. I got a chance to hang out with you guys a couple times this week, man. Saturday I hung out with Jay. I was telling Kirk earlier, Bro Smith, about the video game design workshop we did on Saturday, man. Served 28 kids. Giving the introductions to, coding and potentially using that as career development. So, really excited about the work that we continue to do, man. I'm really excited about the direction that it's going. So, best is definitely yet to come. So, Kurt, I'm curious, man, what's going on in the world, man? Today, this week is a little interesting about what's going on.
Yeah, man. Sometimes there's a lot of serious stuff going on, man. But sometimes you gotta look at stuff and just gotta laugh, right? So yeah, pull up a couple pictures and let's have a couple of laughs about some of the stuff going on in the world today.
Yeah, this one hurt my feelings. I thought it was a joke, right? But we already know that those cup of noodles got all kind of sodium in it, right? We already know that they're probably not the best for you. But when I saw this, I was like, man, this has to be a joke. But, this season is all about pumpkin, right? Everything has, and I'm a fan, don't get me wrong, but this right here is tomfoolery. And I even heard that they had a whipped topping that goes on top of it. I can only imagine, I can perceive that this won't be around long. Definitely will be seasonal.
I can't rock with those, man. I can't do those ones.
How about you? You look like it looks scrumptious to you, Bro Smith. You look like it looks appealing.
You know what? I've had my share of cup of noodles ramen. It probably got me through college, but I can't mess with that one. I've had a wild variety of flavors ramen noodles, but I might have to let this one go. Pumpkin spice, not. I don't think it's for me.
Oh man, you don't think you could put a little nutmeg in that, spice it up real quick? Come on, man.
You know me, I try anything once, but I don't think I don't think I'll try that.
Yeah, that was going a little bit too far. I don't even know how that got past thought process. How did that get past the round table? But people love their pumpkin, so it is what it is. What up, Cuzzo? Cuzzo said, "What's up? Keep the great work. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for checking in and watching." So, I think we got one more, Kurt. Now, this one right here, I don't know, man. I am a fan of Pringles, and I do like chicken sandwiches. Now, we know chicken sandwiches at one time, this time last year, had people wrapped around buildings. I had people getting in accidents, had people about to scrap and fight about a chicken sandwich. But this one I thought was interesting. Like, fellas, we talk about leverage. We talk about collaboration. We talk about, putting things together to take business to another level. Well, Wendy's connected and collaborated with Pringles. So not only are they promoting the chicken sandwich, but there's a QR code on the can of Pringles that if you take it, you can get a free sandwich. So now collecting chips and sandwiches to collectively, man, I think this right here might be a new trend, man. What do you guys think?
I'm hungry. I'm ready for that one. I love me some Pringles. I've tried every flavor. You know, I'm ready for that one. The spicy chicken sandwich at Wendy's is, I would say, it's in my top two. Burger King's got a sleeper sandwich. Shout out to Burger King. If you want to hit me up with a chicken sandwich every now and then, we can talk. But Wendy's is on the come up. Popeyes has some competition. We'll just say that much.
Yeah, man. I think there might be a new juggernaut. I think this might actually change the game. I think this is really, really thought out. This is well thought out. What do you think, Kurt?
Aside from both companies, man, I love what you talk about with the collaboration, and I love seeing little things somebody was thinking, right? So even if I don't like Wendy's, to see it on that can, I'm a Pringles fan, man. I'm gonna try it out just because I like Pringles. I don't like when they bust it up and I get them, but other than that, I love me some Pringles. So yeah, I think it's a great collaboration for sure.
You get mad at that too? I hate that, right? Like when you get the Pringles and they crushed up, it's like I'm a little disappointed. Like that's not how this is supposed to work. These aren't chips; these are Pringles, right? So you're supposed to scoop them out. Yeah, man. It takes away from the experience. And just the mere fact that from a marketing perspective, that they're saying that, hey, if you buy this, we'll leverage in giving you this. I think it's genius, fellas. I really think it's genius. So other than that, speaking of genius, we have something coming up, man, as we continue to develop this brand, the Bro Code Show, on the 28th September, the 28th of this month. We'll be transitioning into what we call table talks. Table talks will now allow us to start having these courageous conversations over a meal, intimate conversation with individuals in the community that are doing great things, definitely reflective representation, and then marrying that with our children to continue to pour into them and talk about the things that concern us most in person, live, broadcasted on Facebook and YouTube. So from the mayor of Apex to the director of the YMCA to professors from Central, as well as delegates that are looking for upcoming political positions in the Durham City Council, as well as the Raleigh City Council and Durham Tech, will be converging in Second Empire to continue to embrace positive, popular conversation and having these courageous conversations and daring to be different to do it. So I'm really excited about that, fellas. I believe that is another game-changing arena, and definitely look forward to it. Now, as we continue to dive into the theme, like this month, fellas, it's all about I Love Me More. This is a self-love wellness series. And last week, we talked about books, podcasts, music, and even studies that we've leveraged to empower ourselves, whether that be mentally, physically, and spiritually. Now, fellas, we always talk about self-assessment and like being honest with us, right? And being present, right, in the moment to provide clarity for the thoughts that we have. So I'm curious, fellas, like this week, we challenged ourselves to be in that moment. So what are some of the thoughts? What are some of the words to describe your self-discovery or self-assessment challenges for this past week? Now, if I need to go first, I will. I'm not ashamed, but I really want to chew the fat on that really quickly, man, before we bring our guest on.
No, I've got two words, man, that really hit on some of the challenges this week. Probably perseverance and optimism. For those that know me and those that don't, I'm looking for a house, which that process has been challenging to say the least. I've got a vending business that is hitting the ground running, about 4 machines at 4 locations, and one of them went down over the course of these last couple of weeks, and we've been trying to get it right and dealing with the issues that come about with that, and then just trying to learn a new job all at the same time amongst the whole assortment of other things that I'm trying to do in terms of some streams of income. So uh, optimism and perseverance, because it's definitely been challenging these past couple of weeks dealing with a range of issues coming at me from left and right. But I've had the good mind to know that it will be better. These are moments to learn from, things to grow from, and I haven't let any of them stop me to achieving what I hope is my ultimate goal in all those arenas.
Optimism and perseverance. I love it, man.
Mhm.
Always looking at it from a different perspective. That's definitely one of the words that has been ringing bells this week, not just in my mind in conversation, is perspective. And really taking a pause to look at things, not just from how I think about it, which is easy to do. That's selfish, right? But also the thoughts of others, man. Kurt, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I love this question, Troy. And I have 3 words. Number one is clarity, which is just common sense, right? Slowing down because we're all so busy. And sometimes I miss the mark just from being busy. So working on being way more clear with everything I do. The second is purpose,
Mm.
and the third is direction. So definitely in a space where I think God is leading me in so many different directions, and I'm sorry, I want to go in so many different directions, and I think God is narrowing it down to one lane, and it's just I have to slow down and listen, and it's
Mm.
difficult sometimes, but I'm definitely surrendering because I really want to live in purpose. So
Yeah, I could dig that. So clarity, purpose, and direction, right? All of those align too, right? I love it, and it's amazing, fellas, because we do this work, and when we do it together, oftentimes we say like minds think alike. And I didn't ask you guys that question until just this moment, right? Being present into this moment, and what came to mind to me was the proverb that has been ringing bells probably for the last 3 weeks, and I've been saying it over and over, and it's many hands make light work. And then the 2 words that really have been on my heart, and have shown improved in situations and challenges during the week, is be flexible. You know, it's funny, JC. For those that don't know, Bro Smith, that's actually how we met. Right, when I was working a secular job and coming away from the government job and coming stateside, one of the first jobs I got was at working with Bro Smith, man. And they always say the F is for flexibility, right? So amongst other things, but we don't leave that alone. But nonetheless, man, that really show improved in my life and things that happened this week. It really challenged me to live in that space. So as we segue and really talk about these things, I think they're important. So we talk about loving ourselves more. Being aware is a big deal, and being aware of ourselves starts right inward and reflected outward. So, Jen, we always say greatness comes by a way of collective effort. Fellas, as we further dive into this month's topic, which is self-love, I love me more. Tonight, we have the pleasure of chopping it up with a young lady who turned her adversity into opportunity. Now, Dr. Brittany Cofield Poole was diagnosed with Graves' disease, an immune system disorder that affects the throat glands. Now, Dr. Britt added yoga to her self-care regimen, and over time, the power of movement added in helping her to create a stronger body and, more importantly, a healthier mindset. Now, fellas, help me welcome Dr. Brittany Cofield Poole to the show. Dr. Britt, how you feeling? What's going on?
What up, bros?
Well, Dr. Britt, you look good. You sound good. Thank you for joining us. But for the people that may not know you, have maybe never heard your voice before, who is Dr. Britt at the core?
Ooh, at the core, she's a lover of 90s and 80s R&B, the last person to leave the dance floor. Huge goofball, a lover of supporting other people. Like, I think I'm just built that way. I really love showing up for others. And I'm also a connector. So I like to think in my mental Rolodex, like, ooh, y'all should know each other, like connecting people to opportunity, connecting people to relationships that they would have never had the opportunity to really be in the same space or room without me, you know? So I like bringing energies together that are aligned and where I kind of get a feeling like, ooh, yeah, I see synergy here. I'm a yoga teacher and mindfulness guide and really growing in that practice and really growing as a wellness advocate as well. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, we are glad to have you. We're all about good energy too. Good vibes only. It's on my license plate. So, Bro Smith, let's chew the meat and spit out the bone.
Now, I'm glad you are blessing us with your presence today. You know, we've had the opportunity to talk to a number of doctors, health advocates, exercise gurus, but it's nothing like getting a female perspective on these sorts of issues. You know, one of the things that we've really struggled with as a community is mental health and doing something for our own mental health. On the one hand, it's difficult to find someone that looks like us that can deliver such a regimen of activities to help us with the things that we're going through. And on the other hand, we're not necessarily one to seek it. There's certainly been a stigma. I'm sure you're quite aware of going to therapy. It's difficult to evolve in a culture that believes prioritizing mental health is a weakness. You know, it's difficult to let go of the notion that you have to be strong when dealing with trauma, and it's also difficult to kind of live in this space and find things that can make you better. It was great last week, and he joined us at the Esports Academy with Coach Lalo. He was just a beacon of energy, and he talked to the benefits that exercise had for him, and how he's trying to use that same spirit to encourage others. Now, I know you went to NC State, which is a prime university, to say the least. You know, I got my MBA and my bachelor's from NC State. And from what I know about you, correct me if I'm wrong, you gained your PhD in community psychology from NCSU. I'm hoping that you can help paint a couple of pictures for us tonight. One, Troy was speaking on the diagnosis of Graves' disease. So I'm curious to get kind of what were some of your initial thoughts. And how did that initial shock of finding out that you had that disease transition into adding yoga to your self-care regimen?
Yeah, so Graves' disease it's one of those diseases that is not, I would say it's under-researched, right? You hear about it, but not a lot of people know what it is. Interestingly enough, there are about 5 women in my family that have it, even though they say it's not hereditary. And it is a disease that is also oftentimes induced by stress and trauma, and it disproportionately affects women. And then underneath that, women of color, and then underneath that, Black women in their late 20s to early 30s. I was 29 years old when I was diagnosed. And it actually happened on MLK Day. I was doing a service project at the Boys and Girls Club in Raleigh. And I went to urgent care, then the ER. And it's because of the family history that I knew. I asked them, like, can you do a throat ultrasound? Can you check my blood levels, my hormone levels for Graves' disease? And I was diagnosed that day. But just to give a little bit of insight on how it affects the body, it affects everyone a little bit differently, but it primarily affects the thyroid, which is the butterfly-shaped gland at the base of your throat. And for me, I lost 15 pounds. I'm slim, y'all. Like, I'm 130 on a good day, soaking wet, and 5'9". So, like, you know, just like this.
Yeah.
I was on heart medication. It affects your joints. It affects digestion. It affects your mood, the chemical nature of your mood and well-being in that regard as well. And my thyroid was actually engorged. So imagine like cutting an apple in half and slamming it right on your neck, and my thyroid was out to here. And so essentially it can be different for everyone. Some people don't have it as severe as I've had it, and then they're able to they can, change your diet or take a medication to go in remission. And I was beyond that point. I only had two options. It was surgery or radioactive iodine therapy, which is basically swallowing a radioactive pill that is filled with iodine and killing my thyroid, which means that I spend the rest of my life on a hormone replacement therapy. I take a pill every day. If I don't take that pill, I'm not here. So it's a manageable chronic illness, but it would be terminal for me if I'm not compliant with my medication. So for me, it was a strange, because I'm 29 years old, I'm just finishing my PhD, and all of a sudden my mortality is in front of me. And when your body betrays you in that way, you're never prepared for that, especially at 29 years old. We're all in our minds, whether or not we believe it, think that we're invincible, right? We're young and healthy. I had no other health issues prior to that. And it rocked everything. It was very traumatic. It rocked my self-esteem. It rocked my view of what safe felt like. It made me really reevaluate what was important to me and really reevaluate the way I wanted to live my life, because from that moment going forward, what was really key for my well-being was rest and stillness. And I was used to going and going and going and being someone who juggled multiple things all the time. And that's accomplishments is what gave me my drive. And I had to be still. I was forced to be still. And I wasn't used to that. And so it happened 2 months after I defended my dissertation. So I'm thinking, yeah, I finished my dissertation. I'm about to kill it in the world. And my body said, nope, I'm about to take you out. You might die. Thankfully, that was not what happened. But it is something that has changed me forever. And I had to learn what a new normal was, because the version of me that lived and breathed before that no longer existed. Everything about my life had to shift, and it's still shifting, right? 5 years later, I'm still learning how to honor this body. I'm still learning how to forgive it for doing something that I couldn't control. And that was another thing, right? Understanding that we think we're in control until something teaches us that we're not. And it was and still is something that I am learning how to not let define me in a negative way, but really teach me how to show myself love even when I can't predict the next day.
I love it, Dr. Britt. How did that transition into yoga? So that love, you found a piece of you that wanted to continue to move forward through this adversity. So you were already in a space of self-care regimen. So you found yoga. How did that happen?
So one of the things that I was dealing with when I was moving through getting to a better physical space is that I had severe joint pain. So it impacts your joints significantly. Walking upstairs, walking up a hill, walking in general was very painful. I also had limited energy. So on the worst days, it was a choice between getting up and getting a glass of water and maybe showering that day. Couldn't do both in the same day. And so I had a yoga DVD for those who watch DVDs. Now we're all streaming, but I had a yoga DVD, and it was a gentle 20-minute practice for beginners. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. I had done yoga on and off, but never really committed to it. Just tried it and thought I'm not flexible enough, or I'm not strong enough, because typically it's a fitness focused practice. So I put the DVD on, and every day I would do that little 20-minute practice. And what I love about yoga as a practice is that you can be as gentle or as intense as you want it to be. But even if you sit and breathe for 5 minutes, because breath is really the center of it, you will have still done yoga. That the expectations that you set are all about you. There's no comparison necessary. And so my practice grew from that, honestly. And the way in which it allowed me to care for myself without having to set my standards astronomically high is how I got into it. And then after I saw how it made me feel, I thought it would be really cool to make other people who look like me, who have no exposure to this, feel seen, feel comfortable, feel safe, and know that showing up is really half the battle.
So, Dr. Britt, I find it very interesting that you had to go through a traumatic situation to actually maybe bring something out, right? When you talk about forgiving your body. But I wonder how that helps you to have compassion for other people who may be showing up for your yoga. But speaking of yoga, I've taken it at home by myself. Nobody's in the house because I own my own mat. I go to YouTube, but I'm gonna be honest. As a man, I have some fears about going to a yoga practice. I do understand the power of bringing my body and my mind into harmony with it. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm still in a space where I'm afraid to go show up for hot yoga. But if you would speak to your wellness collective and the name and the significance of the name for us.
Absolutely. First, I want to say this for anybody who's listening. You do not have to prep yourself for yoga. You don't have to work out, get strong, get ready for. And if a yoga teacher ever tells you that's the case, that's not the person to practice with. So my primary specialty is restorative yoga. So, and I'll get into the name as well, but restorative yoga is a rest and relaxation centered practice. We use props to allow you to be supported, physically supported by pillows and blankets the entire time, so that you allow yourself permission to rest and be still. And that is not typically what people think about when they think about yoga. They think about power yoga. They think about hot yoga. They think about contorting their bodies into pretzels and trying to emulate the gymnasts and former dancers we see on Instagram. And I want to dismiss that entire narrative right here and now, that is not required for you to do yoga. And as it pertains to my business being called Yah Wellness Collective, 10 years ago, and I can't believe it's been 10 years. 10 years ago, I went on a trip while I was in grad school to Ghana, West Africa, my first time on the continent. And it was a life-changing experience for me. And there's a beautiful tradition of having a name based on the day that you were born. And I found out that I was born on a Thursday and that my name would be Yah. And also while I was there, I was claimed by the whole country. It was beautiful. I was like, I've not done an ancestry test, but I feel like everywhere I went, folks was just like, niece, daughter, cousin. I was like, yes, finally, I feel like I can claim something. You know how our history is, right? It's tough to lay claim to an identity that's just so mishmashed. So it was such a beautiful experience. And Yah translates loosely into confident and strong and insightful. And when I was thinking about building a practice around wellness, I want people to feel that way with me. When you have an experience with me, you feel strong. And I'm not talking about in the traditional like weightlifting sense, that you feel strong in your capacity to show up for yourself, right? And so that's why I chose that name. It is something that I identify with personally, but also a feeling that I want to instill in the community that I work with.
So, wow, I love all of that. I still hear you saying that you had defining moments of where you're traveling to Ghana, and it changed, the name and all these things that come from that wild world travel. So I love that. The brothers here, the bros on Bro Code are really big on mindfulness. And we hear that you practice and facilitate mindfulness within your practice. We would love for you to take us through, and our audience too, we'd love for you to take us through maybe a quick mindfulness practice or breathing practice.
Absolutely. Are you ready for this?
We're ready.
I can use it. Let's do this.
The first thing I need you and everybody who is watching to do is find a comfortable position. So if you're resting against a chair, if you're sitting on the floor, lying on your back, if you want to rest against a wall, that's the first thing we're going to do. And I invite you, after you get your body settled, to feel safe enough with me to close your eyes. I know that's a very vulnerable thing to do. And from here, I want you to begin taking even breaths in through the nose and out through the nose or mouth, whichever feels comfortable for you. And just continue breathing like that. Even breaths in, even breaths out. And if you find your mind is filling with thoughts, that's okay. We don't have to force ourselves to empty our minds. Just greet each thought and wish it well as it passes. Continue breathing here. And if you desire to settle your thoughts, you can say the word in your mind, inhale, as you take in air, and exhale as you release it. Give yourselves permission to be with me in this moment. Give yourselves permission to be honored and supported in this moment. Continue breathing, continue keeping your eyes closed, continue allowing yourself to be held. Place one hand on the belly and one hand at your heart. And from here, we're going to do 3 rounds of belly breathing. So we're going to think expansion as we inhale. So inhaling very slowly through the nose, expanding the belly like a red balloon up into the chest and ribs. And then we'll sigh it all out. And it's okay to make noise. No one can see you. Well, they can see you, but they can't hear you. All right, again, in slowly through the nose, filling that belly like a balloon, expanding the ribs up into the chest, and sigh it all out. Last breath together, in through the nose, filling everything up. And when you're ready, sigh it all out. Keeping your eyes closed, return back to your normal breathing. And notice what you notice about how different you feel. Where you created space. Where you feel lighter. And when you're ready, you can blink open your eyes. And welcome back to the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a question based off of that activity and the difference from what this may be towards the traditional yoga that Brother Kirk was kind of sharing. In that sense, and I've never done either one of these before, so excuse my ignorance, but with yoga, I feel as if over time you might feel something tangible, different about the way your body feels. You might be able to touch your toes, or your back might feel better, or you may lose a few pounds. How outside of just living in that moment, as we did just now, how do you know, or how do you feel more tangible benefits from this? I get the intangibles that I feel right now, but how does this translate into something that I can show I'm progressing?
That's a fantastic question. I think beyond the guided meditation that I just did, mindfulness is also about a commitment to self and a commitment to honoring things like your boundaries, creating an understanding that we do not have to always self-sacrifice, giving ourselves permission to feel, acknowledging and speaking when we're not okay and knowing it's okay to not be okay, using the word no as a form of love, but also honoring what you say you want and what other people ask of you, and really being able to think about capacity and respect when your cup is on E, that you've got to take time and stillness to refill that. And so I think that a lot of times people think about meditation and mindfulness and they think about what we just did, right? Just sitting and breathing, but it's also a dynamic practice of really creating an environment for yourself within and with other people and in your relationships that sometimes you have to be the most important person in your life. And I think that's really hard for Black people as a collective, right? The words, I am the most important person in my life, dismantles generational curses that we carry with us. And in the opposite of what I was saying, right? So instead of saying, I don't have to self-sacrifice all the time, it's a badge of honor for most of us to say that I think about other people before myself, and I do that always. But what happens when you think about everyone before you and you've run yourself ragged, there is absolutely nothing left for you. And I want to be clear that I'm not saying be selfish. I'm not saying that you need to only think about yourself. But I do think that if you are not good, how can you be good for anybody else on a consistent basis? And that is something that I am solely dedicated to. Really, when I talk about wellness advocacy, it's about resetting those narratives that we've learned from our parents and their parents before. I hear all the time from elders in my family, just don't let it get to you. Well, just not letting something get to you means you compartmentalize, right? You put things away, and then that turns into something physiological. And then that stress manifests into Graves' disease.
I'll be honest with you. I can clap, snap, all that right there, especially as it pertains to the three gentlemen on this call. And we talk about not engaging in how we feel and just tucking it away. And I know I am definitely author of that. And I've seen how that has ate at me from the inside out, you know, whether that be lack of sleep, hair loss. No, I'm just playing.
I was like, did it hit all of y'all at once? Because everybody out here got milk duds going on.
Yeah, conscious choice in 2020.
Yeah, there you go. That's the struggles of 2020, right? So I get it. But really quickly, I definitely want to shout out somebody who wanted to shout you out. So I have a gentleman on YouTube that said, excellent guest choice. It looks as if he met you, or this person met you once before, and just wanted to say how kind and smart you are. There you go. All that love, baby. Yeah. So indeed, man, indeed. So if you're just checking into the Bro Code Show, we're chopping up with Dr. Brittany Cofield Poole. Now, Dr. Britt continues to overcome the adversity of Graves' disease, now fighting back for her health through yoga and mindfulness, and also helping others along the way. Now, so far, we've talked about purpose, we talked about giftings, we've talked about adversity, and we've also talked about opportunity. Now, Dr. Britt, when it's one thing to be able to start to acknowledge some of the things that we do well, where none of us are perfect, but we can walk in a spirit of excellence and really making a decision to walk in that space more consistently takes grit. It takes tenacity, you know, it takes boldness to say, hey, like you just said, I am. And whatever you put after that, you know, really playing such a huge role in your life and creating your realities. And another word I like, new normals, right? So with that being said, all of these things have favored your life well, you know, so much so that it opened up another space in your capacity to grow with yoga, and then use some of those gifts to help others. Now, as fellow servant leaders, everyone on this call has a heart and a passion for others. So I'm curious, with the work that you do with Yah Wellness Collective, and also the healing work that you do as a community psychologist, talk to us about the fruits of the labor. Talk to us about those that you've been able to help to bring into that same space.
Yeah. I will take it back to right after I wrapped up yoga teacher training. So I would say that I'm a baby yoga teacher. I think it's always been in me. You know, I've always been earthy. These head reps ain't new. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. But the yoga as a teacher is a journey that I am growing in every day. One experience in particular that like speaks to me is I was teaching yoga every week at a school in Baltimore. So it was a charter school in Baltimore. That's before I moved back to the Triangle. And I worked with elementary school students. And let me tell you, I know some of y'all work with the youth. I learned very quickly that wasn't my ministry. However, what I also learned was how important it is for conversations around mindfulness and that relationship with yourself to start so early. So I had first and second graders, third, fourth, all the way up to sixth grade. And those babies were tired. And even though they didn't have the words for it, so think about this, right? Most of us, when we were kids, we were taught to be seen and not heard. And what does that do to a child? When you don't have the language to really identify your emotions, what you're feeling, and you don't have the permission to do so either. But in my class, they have permission to do that. And so, you know how it is, you're trying to wrangle a bunch of little ones and they want to do everything but what you've asked. But what I always gave them in my class was choice. I say you have 3 choices. You can follow along and do what we're doing. You can lay on your mat and rest because I know you need it. If you want to be disruptive, you can be out of my classroom. And so, but they always had a choice, right? And I remember sometimes I would go to them, I'm like, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, to figure it out. And I would have students come back and say, I want to participate after they've been disrupted for 20 minutes, or I think I want to lay down. And that showed me how important it is to start young. And so for any parents that are out there or caregivers or older siblings, like, do not discount that the youth in your life need this just as much as you do. And it's important for them to create this toolkit, right? This self-care, this self-commitment, this self-love, being able to be emotionally intelligent and articulate what they need and what they don't want and what boundaries are, and allowing them to cultivate that and growing that with them. Because I didn't really have that growing up, and it's something I had to learn in adulthood. But seeing how much they benefited from that was very eye-opening for me, because I don't have any kids. So for me, I'm not engaging every day, but it really showed me how important it is for this to start early in our community, as early as possible. And to be clear that mindfulness and yoga do not have to conflict with your commitment to your faith, whatever that may be. I know sometimes there's a lot of misconceptions about yoga as a practice because its lineage, right, comes from other countries and other continents. But you can still develop a practice that you can integrate into your faith practice, whatever that may be, whether it be spiritual or religion. Know that you don't have to choose, because the whole purpose of all of this is that you're good. And if you're good, that's all I care about. And I want you to take with this, or with you from this, what you need into your life. So don't feel like you have to choose, right, or be compromised by what you believe or how you believe to do this. Because if you're the focus, then you're not compromising anything. You're really investing and cultivating and fostering something that is going to help you be your best self.
So thank you for that. And I have a bunch of gems already in my notes, and I really appreciate your energy. I was a little bit tired when I got on the show, and just because of your energy, I'm re-energized. But they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we've been doing a little bit of research, and we found a few pictures that we're going to bring on the screen, and we kind of want to know what they mean to you.
Oh Lord, what'd you find? Okay, that's not too bad. Oh man. So first of all, when my grandma saw this, she said it freaked her out. because of the flexibility required to kind of bring your hands behind your back in that way. So that picture actually represents my journey of flexibility. And I don't necessarily mean in the physical sense either. Being flexible with change and being flexible with patience, because patience is a struggle of mine. My mom will attest to it daily. And when I look at that picture, it shows me that I allowed myself the space and time to not rush into a position like that. And that's applicable to everyday life, right? That oftentimes we set these goals, we have these intentions, and we want to hurry up and be successful, or hurry up and achieve, or hurry up and connect with that goal that we have. And sometimes the journey is in the stillness, and that the journey is about really reflecting with yourself. The journey is about asking yourself hard questions about maybe some patterns you have that aren't really serving you in the moment anymore. And so there was a time where I wasn't able to do that posture without it being significantly uncomfortable. And when I took that picture and I did it with ease, I was like, this is a metaphor. Because it took me time. It took years before I could do that. I wasn't able to do that out the gate in my yoga practice. And so when I look at that, I think about how much I have grown in my journey of flexibility, and really allowing myself time to get where I think I should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to stretch. That's all I think when I see that picture. I tried it when the screen wasn't on me, trying to get into it. I'm nowhere near that one, nor do I think I want to try that one again.
We can get
So-
you there. We can get you there.
I concur. I concur. When I first saw that picture, I was like, well, hold on, man. This has to be an illusion. There's no way.
I'll do it now. Like, I can prove it's real.
Hold on. Let me make the screen big.
Okay.
Go ahead. There you
Okay,
go.
let me gather myself. Let me not knock stuff over. So, all right, you ready?
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
You gotta stand up. You gotta stand up. You
If
gotta
I
No,
stand
I-
up,
no.
oh, here we go.
Wow.
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 That's not
Okay.
fair.
It's real. It's real. What's an
Yes.
illusion?
Mm.
The faces y'all are making right now. This is hilarious.
We got one more for you. I love to hear this, and I love this picture.
Yo, if you know about Nuck If You Buck, you know what that's about.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all something. Though I am a yoga teacher, I love a little bit of ratchetry. I do. It's in me. It's not going anywhere at all, ever. So I love ratchet music. I do, but it's also about really in that moment, just feeling myself. I'll be real that I'm just like, hey, I want you to see me holistically. And what I mean is I'm not going to always be deep breaths and, eyes closed. Sometimes I'm going to get bucked because that's a part of who I am. And so I need people to know that not all yoga teachers are built the same. And also, if you're going to practice with me, I want you to feel comfortable enough to do that, right? To know that I'm going to take you as you are. And especially for the Black community, I want you to know that there is a practice for you. There are people that look like you that want you to show up and be you, that I might play Nuck If You Buck and we do yoga together. And I want you to feel it. You know what I mean? That like that, my class might be a little ratchet. We're going to rest and be ratchet, and that's okay. And so I will not apologize, right, for being a Black woman in this space. I will not apologize for the dimensions of me that are so deeply connected to my culture. And I'm not going to dismiss those parts of me just because I'm here. And in fact, if you're going to practice with me, I need you to know that this is what you're getting. And yeah, that's what that picture means.
I love it. I love it. I think we got one more, and this one speaks volume because we'll actually have this young lady on the show next week.
First of all, Dr. Margaret A. Brunson, I love her with my whole heart. She is one of my dear friends. She is my sister, and she has been someone who's really been a pivotal part of my growth. We have the pleasure of working together on this really amazing grant-funded retreat called the Be Well Black Entrepreneurs Wholly Engaging Life Leadership Retreat. It's a virtual retreat. It is free because we got the grant to be able to do it. And we are catering specifically to North Carolina Black entrepreneurs, and we're blending together mindful leadership. So really introducing this concept of mindfulness as it pertains to being an entrepreneur, because who hustles harder than an entrepreneur, right? That hustle, that grind mentality, we've all been taught that that's the way to do it. But that also means that you're running yourself thin and into the ground sometimes. And if you don't have a really solid practice of self-care as an entrepreneur, the burnout is real. And especially because most of us are bootstrapping, doing these things ourselves, I think it's just important to make sure that some of what we talked about today exists in that community as well, because without it, we won't be able to buy Black if folks are too exhausted to build something. Yeah.
Indeed. I love it. What you got, Bro Smith?
Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and we've asked you a number of questions. Wanted to turn it to the time of our show where we flip the script. It's something to where we give you an opportunity, and those that are watching, an opportunity to ask anybody a question of their choice. Doesn't have to do with anything that we've been talking about today, just what's on your mind, what's on your heart. So for now, I will turn this to you, Dr. Britt, in regards to what's on your mind. Like, what do you want to ask any of the individuals on the show?
I've been waiting for this moment. I would love to pose this question. What does vulnerability and softness as a Black man, right, look like for the three of you? Vulnerability and softness. Or does it look like anything?
You want to take that one first, Kurt?
Yeah. So, Yeah, great question. And it looks like a different direction than probably all of us were taught growing up, which was real men don't cry, real men don't show emotion. If you cry, you know what's going to happen to you. And I think later in my life, first of all, I have 3 daughters. So I needed to be emotionally intelligent and mature with them and show them kind of what men are supposed to do. And so it's been a journey, but vulnerability and dealing with my emotions is a must for me to be my best self. And I'm not worried about another man, another human judging me based on me being who I am and who I'm showing up as. And I understand it's liberation for myself, my family, my community, and anybody who comes in contact with, like we talk about representation, a Black man who is going to stand up and, first of all, I will throw these hands. So let me be clear about that. I'm not no punk. However, I know who I am inside in my spirit. So that's how I look at vulnerability.
Yeah, I'd add on to that. For me, it's feeling willing to proactively search for help. At times I like to put a lot on my shoulders. I don't like to seem as if I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. So for me to jump out there and sincerely engage with someone else and say, "Hey, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how to get to where I think I want to go." That's my form of being vulnerable, in addition to the layer that Bill Kirk shared.
Yeah, I love it, man. There's strength in asking for help, and it took me a long time to get to that place where I was safe, and it didn't look like a chink in my armor or made me look stupid. And again, these are traumas and isms and phobias and bias that were passed down from Uncle Bucky on the corner and TV and back of the school bus, and I fed into them. Vulnerability and trust are a superpower now, and I agree with both of the gentlemen that creating a space that I'm. You said it, and I appreciate it. You said it several times, giving myself permission, and allowing myself to be present in that moment to say, you know what, I'm sucking right now, but I'm not going to choose to live in this space to find resources, books, people, podcasts, YouTube videos to help better that space, and wanting to be a better person. And that really took time. For me, it was marriage and children. And grandma said, just keep on living. So life has a way of humbling you down. That's my Anthony Hamilton quote. So anyway, with that being said, that was the place that I had to live in. And I wanted to highlight my man Reggie real quick. Reggie said, to answer your question, Dr. Britt, it said holistically allowing us to be who we are unapologetically. And I can dig that. Shout out to Reggie. So yeah, vulnerability is now the things that we use not just to better ourselves, but to engage our children, to wear our emotions on our sleeve, for them to see that happening, because love is an action word, and to see that happen, but amongst ourselves, so that way when we promote that or inspire that to them, they see a reflection of it. So yeah, great question. I appreciate that.
I'm always curious about that.
I mean, no, I think you're absolutely right. And those are the conversations that we have to continue to have. So, Dr. Britt, it's definitely been a pleasure. I can't believe hours went by so fast. Your energy is great. We look forward to continuing this conversation, but I want to give you the opportunity, with all of us being servant leaders, all of us being visionaries and very goal driven, what are some things you have going on? What are some things that you want to leave with the people in 60 seconds or less?
60 seconds or less. So I want to be transparent in this moment that I am in a period of figuring out what next steps look like as a yoga teacher and as an entrepreneur. So I personally, if folks want to reach out to me about yoga, I do it private, groups, and individuals. So you can do that from my website or my social media, that they have at the bottom. I want to shout out my friends at Soul Yoga. So they're actually having a class at CAM, downtown Raleigh, the Contemporary Art Museum, on the 25th at 9:30 a.m. if you want to practice. And that space is also about celebrating Blackness in yoga. And I won't be teaching, but I will be there to support and take the class as well. So I want to shout them out. But yeah, I think sometimes we have this identity that we need to be doing and making and creating. And right now I'm wrestling in the quiet with what the next steps look like for me. So you can definitely connect with me privately. And what's going to be ahead is it's up to God right now. We'll see.
Indeed, indeed. Well, it's definitely been a pleasure. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Brittany Cofield Poole, yoga instructor that can pray behind her back. Like that right there. Like, whoa. Like, that's feng shui on a whole nother level. I was like, wow. Anyway, it's definitely been a pleasure. Make sure you guys join us next week. Next week, we will be continuing this conversation with Dr. Margaret A. Brunson. And we look forward to that. It's going to be part 3 of I Love Me More Wellness series. And when we speak with this luminary entrepreneur, thought partner, and media personality, please go follow her on Instagram at MBIsFree. So tune in next Sunday, September the 26th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Bro Code Show. Make sure if you already haven't to go follow us. You can follow us either on Instagram at Bro Code Show or on YouTube at YM4C Space TV to continue to hear these great, courageous conversations and upcoming conversations that we'll be having in the future. As always, we want to leave you guys with some positive. This night is no different. Tonight, our quote says, self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. It's your boy, Bro Troy, aka Mr. YM4C, and we are the Bro Code.